Hello, welcome to Mountain Craft Studio. My name's Christine. Come on in and I'll show you what I've been working on. Hi Flosstube friends, welcome back. I have lots of things to share with you today. I've been out here puttering around in the studio quite a bit, and I have some cross stitch, some general sewing, some quilting, some of my yarn spinning results from last time. So I'm just gonna get started. In one of my previous videos, I shared that I was working on Blackbird Designs, The Last Rose of Summer. This is how they finished it. I think it's a book that they finished on the top of that book. Very cute. I love the soft colors. And I decided I wanted to put it on a project bag. And here she is. These are the ties for the top. So this bag this bag pattern comes from the big book of hand embroidery projects. This is a martingale book, so you can't get it directly through Martingale anymore, but I know that you can get it at quilt shops, for instance, Always in Stitches in Noblesville. They are my local cross stitch store, and they have this book. There were at least 2 copies when I was there last time that I saw, and if you call them, I'm sure that they would be happy to hook you up. But I will say that there were a couple of mistakes on the measurements for this pattern. This is what the pattern looks like in the book. In order to get it to look like this, you're gonna have to change the measurements to the bottom section. So let me show you. So this right here, this line in the book is said to be 2 inches back from the corner, and that's not right. They actually, I think it's, they did the diagram wrong, so that it's 2 inches across in that length. So just beware of that. And then there was another one, an error for placing the handles. If you wanted the handles to look like what was on the bag in the picture, you needed to put them in at measure to 2 inches and not 2.5, because it would have just been weird to have them right over here. Anyway, if you went with the original measurements on the gussets here, it would have turned, and this oval would have been right at the bottom, which I thought would have looked weird. Luckily, I figured I've made many bags, and I was able to spot that before I actually started cutting. That would not have been good. Because this fabric is no longer available. This is an Anna Griffin fabric from many moons ago that I have been hoarding for the perfect project. And I think that these fabrics went with the stitching really well. Pretty sure this was gingerbread on the back, and all of the colors were the called for colors. As you can see, it's big enough for a 10-inch hoop to go inside, which I thought was lovely. This could be really cute for doing not just cross stitch, but any kind of your embroidery project maybe, or whatever. So, or sewing project. I decided I wanted to go ahead and make a little accessory folder. It's not really a needle, it's more than a needle book, but this is actually a wool fabric that I stitched, blanket stitch around to hold it on there. And then these are little pockets. There is a pattern in the book to make something similar to this, but much more This can hold, it's lined here so you can put your scissors or whatever you want to. But it was just from the leftover fabrics from this project. If you wanted to make something like that and you needed a pattern, there is one in here that's pretty cute. It is called a needle case, and there's a needle case and a scissors holder, which is pretty cute. I decided, although the little cat is cute and reminds me of Agnes, for this project I just wanted to go ahead and make a quickie. The embroidery in this book is not necessarily, it's very, very cute, and it's not necessarily my style. I don't do a lot of cute, but the projects in it are really pretty great to adapt to whatever your own style is. So, one of the other things I would like to make though, and I would even do it kind of in their cute, how adorable is that? It's pincushion. I think it's very, very, very cute. You could even prim it up if you wanted to make that house. But I think that you can make it look like a sampler. Very cute. So, like I said, I know Always in Stitches had at least 2 of these books, so I'm sure other quilt shops probably have them as well. And then, I'm trying to finish old projects, whips that have been around for a really long time. But when I went to StitchCon, I think I showed that I bought this little pattern, this Little House Needleworks pattern called Bessie, and so I had to stop what I was doing to make it because I actually, in my kitchen, on top of my little vintage refrigerator, I have a milk can, and then I also have a milk bottle from a local farm, and some of the world's ugliest statues, or not statues, but what are they, like knickknacks of this woman milking a cow. There's a name for them, and I can't think of what it's called. I'll have to insert it if I think of it. But they are the ugliest. It's one of those, it's such ugly folk art. It's attractive, if that makes any sense. So, and my mom gave it to me years ago, and for years I just kept it. And I thought, what am I ever going to do with that? I'll never display that. But now, since this is a dairy farm, it kind of works. I don't know. Anyway, so I needed something cute to combat the hideous cow. What is the name of that? That's going to drive me crazy. Anyway, so this is Bessie. I just used floss that I had. It's not the floss that was called for necessarily. I think a couple of them are. But the pattern calls for DMC. I just happen to not have those. It also had a couple of, like the background here is the cow, is an overdye for sure. So, and the grass. So this is just taped in here for now. I actually want to go get, I've had this frame for ages, but I want to go get a piece of glass since this is going to go up in the kitchen. I think that would be wise. But isn't she cute? I love her. So I went ahead and got that finished. I just need to floss the back. It's not floss, you know what I mean? It's gonna be one of those days. I apologize now. It's been a while since I've been out and talking with people. I actually ended up coming down with COVID, and I was out like in bed for 3 weeks, and then I'm just now, you'll notice my voice is still kind of, it goes in and out. I feel a million times better than I did, but I tell you what, it was no joke. So anybody else that doesn't have an immune system worth squat, you need to still be very, very careful. I did figure out where it came from. I have somebody that comes in and helps run the vacuum cleaner because my shoulders are shot with arthritis, and she ended up getting it too, so I felt bad. She's still sick. Anyway, as I said, I didn't do anything for 2 weeks. You know you're sick if you can't even cross stitch, right? Like that. But once I got to the point where I was feeling a little bit better, I just couldn't get off the couch, then I started pulling out some of these old projects that I wanted to get finished. and I started out with Harriet Elizabeth Coe. This was my January stitch, which I really enjoyed, and I've been using it for my traveling stitch whenever I go to our stitch group or whatever. But I really want to get this one finished, so I started in on it again, and I got quite a bit more done. And then, unfortunately, I ran out of the red, the pomegranate. And I wasn't sure at first if it was I actually ran out or if Agnes had ran off with it. But after I searched her and the entire area, I decided I really did run out. So I may not have started with a full skein of floss, I'm not sure. But next time I go back to our stitch group, I'll pick that floss up, and I will get this one finished because there's only a teeny tiny bit left. This down here at the bottom, and the one little corner, this spindly little tree / flower or whatever that is. So since I couldn't do that, then I needed to move on to something else. So I pulled out one of my oldest whips. It's not the oldest, but it's close. And that is Gould by GGR. I love this one. It's just, I love that primitive look. Simple, simple look. So I got the red alphabet finished and realized I had screwed up this corner, so I had to undo all of that and redo it. And then that did not make me happy. And while I was not happy, I saw a squirrel, and so then this got pushed to the side. And I started working on the sampler drum because there were so many people on Instagram and Flosstube doing this that I was like, oh, I have to have that. It is, the colors are gorgeous. So I got started on it. I have the top almost finished. In the pattern, it actually has, let me see if I can cover this up. In the pattern, it shows 10, 11, and then MA, which was the initials of the maker. And on the actual sampler up here, it makes sense. But on the drum, which isn't attached to the rest of the sampler, it kind of doesn't make any sense. So I think I'm going to switch that out to the year and my initials. So I've left that until I figure out what style of alphabet I want to put on there. And I started working on the drum. Isn't that pretty? Love it. The colors, I went ahead and did the alphabet because I wanted to see all the colors together. I love it. It's been fun. So that's what I'm working on right this minute, and I don't think it'll take me too much longer to get the project stitched. It may take me a while to get the drum finished, but you know how that goes. But in my effort to continue to look at old projects and try to get some of those finished, I pulled out this. I think this might be my oldest whip. Sorry for the noise. I should have had this out. So this one is a Brenda Gervais pattern. It is Needleworkers Sampler. I started this, I've moved twice since I've started this, so it's been at least 10 years. I wonder when I don't know what the date is on this. Whenever it came out is probably when I started stitching it. And you'll laugh when you see, this is, I started in the middle and I did the little lady, and I realized how small this was. I think it's only 40 count or whatever, but at the time I couldn't see it worth a darn because I didn't have my progressive lenses yet. So I set it aside. But now I pulled it out and I was like, oh, I can see that, no problem. So the magic of progressive lenses. When I went and had my eye exam last time, I took stitching with me, a very fine 40 count, and I said, I need to be able to see this. And so he actually was able to adjust my reading part up a little bit so that I can actually, it's almost like I have readers that I wear all the time. So that I would highly recommend that next time you go, if you haven't done that already, that you give that a try. This, I know that this was an old whip because I actually had them all on floss bobbins, even the Valdani and everything else. I moved it onto the, so that's been a while. But that's what, after the sampler drum and that other little one that I messed, the GGR one, that's what I'm gonna work on, is the, that one. I just wanna at least put it into my rotation so I get some of it done, because it's ridiculous to have a whip sitting around for 10 years. Then, real quickly, I'll show you, right before I got sick with COVID, I was working on my Tour de Fleece spinning, and it, I finished this one skein. I'm trying to think, it's called Hot and Sweet. It's by the, I'll insert a picture here to show you what the fiber looked like when I started. It is by Three Waters Farm. The dyer is Three Waters Farm. And I was able to finish my yarn. This is after it's been plied. It has not been wet blocked yet, because I'm actually going to use this for weaving. And when you use it for weaving, you don't want to do that. You don't want it to get wet until after you've woven your project, because you want the bloom to happen after it's woven. And I was able to get 506 yards out of that. And it's a DK weight, so, and you would know what that means if you're a knitter or a weaver. But I like it. It's pretty. It's different. It's not something that I would normally. I do a lot of barber pole yarns, but not necessarily in these types of colors. I love these colors, but I think it's going to make a fabulous woven scarf. Love it. So what else have I been doing? I've actually been busy, believe it or not, but then I've also been laying around not doing anything. So it's kind of impressive that I have this much done. I did a baby's first year quilt. It was for my daughter-in-law's sister, and I will never make another one. I'll insert a picture of it here. Those little teeny tiny t-shirts, those that, you know, the onesies, those are hard to work with because they have those flaps that come over, you know, and then trying to cut out the, anyway, I got it finished and it's cute, but definitely not making another one of those. T-shirt quilts have never been something that's really appealed to me as a quilter. I don't like working with the knit fabric, and yeah, in order to get it to look decent, you have to iron all the, you know, there's just another step involved, and then I just don't, I don't know. It's just not my thing. I still have another one that I need to make, not the little baby one, but an adult one, and I've been putting it off for 3-4 years. I guess it's probably time, maybe this fall. Anyway, so from a quilting perspective, I have been working on Rochelle. I've showed this in a previous video. This is Rochelle. Shop Girl Quilts. I bought this kitted from Country Sampler years ago, and it's a really cute pattern. It does have issues with its instructions, but if you're an experienced quilter, you can figure it out. But it has all kinds of different blues. It's gonna be great. Love it. I'm just to the point of assembling the blocks together, so it should, and those are going together really quickly because they're just churn dash blocks, so that'll be cute. Then, while I was at Always in Stitches, I found the Summer Memories quilt, or the Summer Memories book, and I wanted to do this back, it's by Susan Aki. Back in the spring, there were a lot of people that were actually doing a quilt along out of this book. I think Pat Sloan and lots of others. There was, I don't remember who all did it, but there were a lot of them. And then I saw a lot of this quilt being made on Instagram, and I love it. It's called the Summer Picnic Quilt. It is beautiful. Love, love, love it. So I wanted to do it, but I didn't have time, and you know, to do it, to drop everything and do it then. I don't know how people are able to do that. That always amazes me. But anyway, I put it on my mental to-do list, and but then when I saw the book, I was like, yes, because this book is great. It even has cross-stitch in the back, several cross-stitch projects. Super cute. But as you notice, these are not necessarily my colors. I don't usually do pastel-y kind of colors. I do if I'm giving it away, right? But I want this one for me. So I decided the other day, well, my actual local quilt shop is called Rossville Quilts, and they have what they call a firecracker sale every July, and they have certain fabrics that are on sale each day and for $7 a yard. And so I had ordered some things, and thinking that I was gonna maybe order more than one thing for, you know, at another day, I said, just hold it up there and I'll come pick it up. Well, then I got sick with COVID and forgot about it. But anyway, finally remembered and decided I would go up and pick those fabrics up. And you can't go up there without looking at they have a great clearance section, right? There's just this giant rack full of clearance stuff. And I was actually able to find this on clearance. So this is the Minnick & Simpson Portsmouth collection. It has some gorgeous fabrics in it. The colors again are a little bright for me, but I knew this would be a great starting point. The blues are good. The brights are just a little red. So I thought I could put some other fabrics from my stash with these and make it a little more scrappy and make it a little more dark. So I started hauling fabrics out. And I added some creams, a little more creamy so that it's not a super white background. I have, as a long arm quilter, I despise, actually despise isn't a strong enough word. Do I hate them? Yeah, probably. White. I hate white. Hate it, hate it, hate it. No matter what I do to groom the back of a quilt top, these other colors will, like, they just ravel on the long arm and show up in that white spot. And they show through as, they don't show when you're just sitting there looking at it, but as the machine stitches over that block, they show up then. And so then you gotta unpick it and go back and take it out, or let it live there forever, where you can see it. Anyway, not a fan of white. And I don't really decorate in my home with lots and lots of white. This house, our farmhouse now does, because the trim in the house is white. But prior to that, I've always had darker colors. I always have had a more primitive style too than this house. But anyway, I digress. So then I moved on to looking at the pattern. The pattern calls for both reds and pinks, and so I decided I'd get some more double pink looking, you know, a little more reproduction colors, and then some darker reds, more saturated color, to add to those that were already in there. And then again, I did the same thing with the blues. Lots of indigos and darker, more saturated blues. and this one that I've had for a million years that needs to go somewhere. So I just stick it in there because it actually looks really good with those colors. So I stuck those in there. And so that gets me the colors for the blocks, right? And it gets me the backgrounds. But I still needed that sashing and the cornerstones and the border. I don't keep huge amounts of fabric around. I have like all of these that I just showed you. Most of those are either fat quarters or half, you know, and I don't, I've always been one where I'd rather just, you know, let the quilt store hold all that fabric. So I don't have large pieces of fabric. And unfortunately that means, and this definitely happened during the pandemic, I don't have necessarily the fabrics for borders or backings or sometimes not even a binding. However, I did have some. So I've decided this pink is going to be the border. It's another double pink. I've got enough of it and I love it. So that's going to be the border. Then I decided this would be the cornerstones. Pretty color. It looks really good with all the other colors. And I wanted it to be kind of bright and set off from both the border and the sashing. And then I got to the sashing. And I said, I know what I want. I want this one. This is, it looks fantastic, right? It'll really pop. I love that stripe that's in the book. I think that makes that quilt. I think that's why I really like that quilt, is the stripe. And so I had only a yard of this. I needed 1.25 yards. I'm like, great. It's an older pattern. I thought, I'm never gonna find it. That's, you know, but I went and I looked. It's a Jeannie Horton. It's, you know, country sampler fabric. So I went to the website and I looked and I looked and I looked and couldn't find it. So then I posted on Instagram, you know, does anybody have this? Because I didn't think anybody would have it, but, you know, I really wanted it. So then I started looking at other fabrics in my stash in the meantime, thinking this is never going to happen. Well, then Shelly Fry of Antique Needleworkers sent me an email, or no, maybe it was on Facebook, and she says, hello, it's right here. with a link. It was on their website, the country sampler website. I just totally missed it. Whatever. So yeah, I ordered some. Thank you, Shelly. It's kind of like one of those things where, like, I am one of those people, I can look for the mayonnaise in the refrigerator. It's right there in front and I'll never see it. And I'll swear that we don't have any. Yeah, kind of one of those things. But that's what I'm doing with that. I'm excited about this one. Is it the wrong time of year to be making a red, white, and blue quilt? Absolutely. Does that matter to me? I do not care. But before I move on to something else, the clearance section at Rossville Quilt also had enough of this fabric for the back. So I got 6 yards. And their clearance fabric is like 6 something a yard. It's you know, you're losing money if you don't buy it. So had to have that. But I think it's gonna be fabulous. I'm really going to enjoy that. And then another thing I wanted to talk about, of course, with being sick, I sat around and watched a lot of Flosstube, got caught up on quite a bit. And then I caught up on random gardening videos. I am in love with the, oh, what's her name? Laura, the gardening guru. Everybody knows her if you're into gardening videos. Garden Answers, maybe, or something like that. Anyway, she just put in a pond. Fabulous videos. I can't even imagine living somewhere that had 10% humidity or 20% humidity. That would be fabulous. And then I found, so I love antiques. I love to go antiquing. I found the Cape at Tweed Thistle Farm. She has these videos where she'll take you around to these antique shows that she goes to, and she also has built a Cape home. She lives in Ohio. And I tell you what, I've had the most fun watching those videos. It's hard though, because you'll see something that she's standing next to you and you're like, I want that! And you can't, because it's, you know, it's already sold, or the video's a year old. But she also does gardening videos. That's actually how I found her, is through a gardening video at a quilt shop. Or no, at a antique shop. Fabulous. Anyway, go check her out. That was one of my recommendations for the day. I haven't gone out and done any antiquing or anything, so I don't have any thrifting to show you. However, I have no doubt that I will next time. Anyway, thanks for stopping by.